Hi guys, my name is Kawadi BT. You can call me Kawadi Cody. I'm forgetting all the other things that people call me. Today we are doing a segment on starting up commissions. So if you are someone that is looking to start up commission soon, then this might be something that you would like to watch. Welcome to our third episode of Gibberish and Brain Mush. I'm so happy you could make it. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to refer to this Reddit post and I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I told this person. Now, the reason why I'm specifically coming here, they go, should I start commissions? And they did give some lovely examples of artwork that they have done. Lots of dragons. And in the description, is my art good enough for commissions or should I work on something? And if yes, what should I charge? The last artwork is an older one. So I did give a lengthy comment back to this, as you can see here. But the number one thing that I would want to point out when you are wanting to, if you're debating on starting commissions, is don't think about the artwork. Think about what it is to do a commission, right? So I have been doing digital artwork for 9 years. I have been doing I did some commissions starting in 2020, which is about 6 years ago. Well, was 6 years ago. And for about a year or two, took about a year or two break. And then, so in about 2024, started up again. So I do have about 4-ish years of experience of commissions. And I think maybe I had done some prior, just from people I knew in real life and stuff like that, doing commissions for them. In real life, like physical traditional artwork drawings and things like that. Another bit of background just on myself, I am also self-employed and I provide I'm a hairstylist. I do hair services for people, so I feel like I'm able to link the two together even though one is drawing and one is hair. So here is my very first thing that I wanted to talk about. Commission work is a form of customer service, so mentally you need to prepare and be aware of that. And I stand by this. And what I mean by it's a form of customer service is that you do have to talk to people. People will give you references. They go, oh, hey, like I want this, I want a commission for emotes. I want a commission for this like full body illustration of my OC, blah, blah, blah. They might give you a reference, and if there's something that you're unaware of, you do have to know how to ask questions. And on top of that, like I said, it is customer service, so kind of having a good attitude from start to finish, that is a part of, in my opinion, it is a part of the commission service, commission work in customer service. It really is. If you are someone that doesn't want to do customer service and you are like, nope, can't do it, can't, you're working with customers, people that are buying your product, right? So you do have to, if you can't do that, then commissioning 100% from the get-go will not be for you, period, because you have to learn how to basically do customer service. The second point I made, communication skills are huge, and if you can't communicate effectively or take the time to communicate, you're going to get a bad rep as an artist, and the art world is very unforgiving. If you guys are on Twitter at all, you are going to know that artists will get called out very quickly for not communicating with their clients, period. And to be honest, I don't think that there's an excuse for not communicating. I think sometimes people get a little anxious or they don't want to be embarrassed. But the thing is we are all human. And if something in life is holding you back, say you had started making progress on a commission, and even if, say, you had a week where you were just depressed or tired and you couldn't do it, maybe nothing was that big or in the way, you don't need to give someone your life story. No one is that entitled to have to know exactly what was holding you back, right? If one of your loved ones is in the hospital or whatever, you can keep your private life private, but you do need to, if you have the obligation that you have accepted a commission from someone, you do have that responsibility of communicating with them, hey, and all you have to say, it's very simple, life circumstances have popped up and they have withheld me this week from doing this commission. And especially if the commission, if you have given someone like a timeline or whatever, you do need to let them know if it's going to hold back the timeline. People do not like being held in the dark, and it will make people not want to come back and commission you again. So you don't need to give them your whole life story, but a little bit goes a long way. I over communicate, so I make it a point to let people know pretty much every Sunday, which is my first day off from I'm off from my real life job, so it's my Sunday is technically my Saturday. I will try to send people updates as soon as I can, so that way people are in the loop. And if I think I might be busy on Saturday or Sunday, then I will try to do it Saturday night. That's kind of what I try to do. So with commissions, a lot of the times I'll just tell people like, hey, if you don't hear from me all week, you're probably going to hear me on Sunday. If they do hear from me and I know that maybe I reach out to them on Friday, I probably won't reach out to them on Sunday because it's only been 2 days. So maybe nothing that major has changed. But I make it a point to this day, I'm going to let these people know what is going on. So that way, if they are wondering, they at least know that on one day they're gonna know like what's going on, and I don't have to feel obligated to let them know every single day and update. But I think once a week is perfectly fine. Even every other week if you feel that you need to. But I think once a week is probably the best thing to do, because it keeps people in the loop. Just like any form of self-employment, you most likely will not see commissions in the first year. Will not see a lot of commissions in the first year or two, and it can be a hustle. The key is ambition and not letting that get you down. So I'm pretty sure I did some research on at one point in time, because like I said, in real life I am self-employed. How long does it take to be considered a successful business? And I do think that if this is something that you are wanting to consider a business, then that is a good thing to look at. But most businesses take 2 to 3 years to become profitable, 5 to 10 years to achieve long-term and stable success. The timeline varies dramatically by industry, your initial overhead, and how you define success. So it could take basically minimum 5 years to be successful. And I googled that kind of recently. I did a little bit of research recently, just because when it comes to self-employment in real life, I'm about 4 years in, and I've been doing very well for that. And then on top of it, I've been consistently doing commissions. Now, consistently, when I started doing them back up again, that was in 2024. And I will say, now that it's been an official 2 years, I am finding much more success with that, with commissions and drawing, than I was in the first year. And definitely when it comes to like my real life job, where like I said, I'm self-employed and things like that, doing it for 4 years, I can definitely say 100% this is the most successful I've ever been with any job in my life. So it's, it does take time to reach a point of where you can feel consistency and things like that, and sometimes it can take a little bit longer. So it really depends on how much work you're willing to put into it. And if you are someone that gives up really easily and you can't really see yourself toughing it out for even a year, then it might not be up to you. It might not be for you. Do you have the tendency to procrastinate or hold things off? Websites like VGen do make you fulfill commissions within a time limit, which of course you can extend, but there is a chance that it can go against your stats. Otherwise, people in general kind of just want to know a time frame. If you procrastinate or hold things off, it doesn't look good as an artist. That's not to say life events don't happen and there could be real things that put art on hold. However, sometimes people aren't understanding, which is true. You will find people that are going to be super understanding of your situation, and they are gonna, like if something happens, they're gonna know. I have met people before that truly do not care. Their commission is due by a certain day. You said it was going to be due by that certain day. You are asking for a time extension or whatever, and now they're mad and they're not gonna get it, So procrastination is definitely, if you are someone that procrastinates, it is definitely not in your best interest as an artist. However, I will also say, like I said, a lot, I don't know, I think a lot more people tend to be forgiving than not. This kind of goes back into the communication thing and just letting people know what's going on if you have to extend or whatever the case is, and most of the time people are going to be pretty understanding. Again, if you're you know, if you're just being kind of transparent. Again, you don't have to tell someone your life experiences or anything. You don't have to, or you don't have to tell anyone people aren't your diaries. You don't need to lay it all on them, but a little bit goes a long way. Just say, hey, this got in the way, you know, something got in the way this week. I am so sorry. I don't want to, you know, you could even tell people, like, I don't really want to let my personal life out there, but, you know, I'm going through a hard time. Can I extend it? You know, or whatever. So that is a thing. If I were to add any other advice for commissions, you do have to kind of learn how to put your foot down sometimes, because if you could be a little bit too nice, people will take advantage. So I would make it a thing, if you're doing commissions, to definitely have rules as much as you can, which is why TOSs are so important. If you don't know what a TOS is basically your terms of service. So like when I make VTubers and things like that, this is my VGen. I'm gonna scroll all the way down and I have my terms of service here. And it even says when I updated it last. I let people know how many revisions I allow and things like that. However, I'm also very firm on you guys got to give me good references, otherwise I won't accept the commission, because sometimes people won't give references and that's character creation in its own, so I won't do that. But you have to I have deadlines in delivery, which is stated within my work details. That's a whole other thing. You have to be firm with what you are allowing them to use your commission for. So for VTubers, I only give personal and monetized content. I do not give for specific VTuber art and rigging. I don't give commercial rights. Now, if they want to go and they want to commission for commercial art, that's totally okay. But they are not allowed to take the VTuber and artwork and slap it on anything. They have to get an actual artwork commission piece, like a commercial piece done. You have to be firm with I do think you should have some kind of refunds policy in place. Mine is refund should only be applied before any work has been done before 50%. So basically, if you're needing a refund before I have finished 50% of it, if I haven't, then, or if I've gone past that, then I don't offer a refund, which I think is plenty of time for most people. Communication. And you can also, with communication, I specify how I would prefer to be communicated with, or where I might respond faster. Then I have even more, like TOS, the rights of usage. And that clearly states your commission usage is for whatever rights you have paid for, whether it's personal, monetized, or commercial licensing. VGen has the specifications on that. So even as an artist, don't think that you can legally change the specifications for these licenses. You yourself should go and do the research on what personal, monetized, and commercial licenses mean, because we did have a period of time where artists were basically trying to say monetized and commercial was the same. It is not. Go study your different licensing before you understand what licensing you're giving to people. Also understand your rights as an artist, that when you make the artwork still belongs to you. So if you want to use for personal, like social media posting or whatever, you hold the rights for the artwork because you are the one that created it. The people that have commissioned you actually just hold the rights to use it for the licensing that they bought it for, but they don't hold the rights to the artwork. Funny enough. And then I do specify if someone bought artwork they commissioned, to sell artwork you commission commercially, you must pay for commercial licensing. On that note, depending on what the commission is, I may decline commercial licensing to avoid lawsuits if it's something that would be foreseeable. So basically, I'm not gonna I'm not giving you a drawing of Pikachu fan art and letting you have commercial licensing for it, because I don't need Nintendo on my back. I do have it in my TOS that if someone wants me to not post on social media, I'm going to be pretty lenient about it, even though I am the art holder. If someone would prefer me to not post it, just to communicate and let me know. Otherwise, I'm probably going to post it because obviously I want to up my portfolio on social media platforms. And if you are wanting to commercial, or not commercial, but sorry, commission, if you want to do commissions for people, I would heavily recommend that you do let people know that you don't want your artwork being fed to AI and have that under your TOS. So under mine, it says, under no circumstances is it ever acceptable to use my artwork, commissioned or not, in AI training, generating of any kind. Under no circumstances are you allowed to use my art for NFTs either. So anyways, that is what, again, I commission through VGen, so that is my terms of service on VGen. It is really important that you do your research of what you want your terms of service to be, and I do recommend that you get that set up so that way you can avoid any awkward moments in the future, because though most people are very, very kind to artists, there are a few rotten apples in the basket that are going to try to damper everything. Now, another question that people often ask is, just starting to take commissions and I don't know what prices to set. So prices when it comes to commissions, I definitely feel you do have to think about, one, your experience with commissioning service or customer service. If you're not that experienced, like sometimes it can take a little while to be experienced in that. So your first couple commissions, you might be having meltdowns and things because it's not going as smoothly as you want it to go or whatever. But I do actually think commission experience does play a big role in your prices. The more that you commission, the better you're gonna be, and stuff like that, and you're probably gonna make people more happy and yada 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 yada. So I do think that is important. I don't 100% believe that just because you have never done commissions before that you should charge dirt cheap. However, I do think that before you consider pricing and things like that, to also consider how efficient and consistent you are with doing artwork. So if you are doing people's like profile pictures, for example, are you pretty much consistent with the time put in to most of those? Obviously, the subject matter might change and some designs might be a little bit more complex than others. One thing that I do, as explained here, and I gave an example, is I do emotes on Twitch, which very rarely is there an emote that takes me even 2 hours to complete. The art file is small and typically can't have too much extreme detail because they are scaled down. I charge 10 per emote because I take it as about 1 hour of work, give or take, which is true. To be honest, emote files are really small. I tend to not make them too big. I go on a 500 by 500 canvas with about 350 DPI. And I know that I'm not drawing the full body, I'm primarily just drawing the head, and you kind of get a flow because typically when people are commissioning emotes, they normally commission more than one at a time. So once you get in the rhythm of drawing the same person over and over again, you can become a little bit more efficient at it anyways. At this point, I have drawn so many emotes, it doesn't take me too long to draw them, and even if it took me longer to draw one emote, I still would just base it off my general average pricing. So I typically just tend to charge about $10 per hour spent on something. So my emotes typically are about 10 per emote. Right now I have a little sale on my VGen, but as you can see, the original price, $10 per emote, and I even actually will do bundle discounts, one, to make it more enticing for people to want to commission, but two, just because I really don't mind bundling and giving people discounts for trusting me with multiple pieces of art, especially at one point. So if that's something you want to consider, a lot of websites might let you do something like that. So I'll do bigger bundle discounts for bigger the bundle. I also did give them another example that if I were to do a full body illustration of someone's character, and my average tracking is like 9 to 11 hours, I'd probably charge $100. Again, going by the premise that I'm charging about $10 per hour. Again, though, this is me knowing that I have done enough of that artwork to know that that is the average time taken for me. So that's another thing to think about, is if you've only drawn something one time, it might not be in your best interest to even charge for the thing that you've only drawn one time. If you're used to drawing profile pictures for people, if you're used to drawing emotes or whatever for people, most digital art programs will allow you to look at how much time you have spent drawing on that in real time. It's not fake. It basically, what that means is for every second that your pen was on the screen actually drawing and not just, sitting there idly, it will track the time that the pen was on the screen. So I know that a full body illustration is going to take me anywhere from 9 to 11 hours because I've drawn enough full body people at this point to know that it's on average basically taking me about 10 hours to do that. So that's where I come up with those numbers basically. So I do think taking your time with the pricing is a good kind of way to symbolize what you feel that you should charge. But that's just me personally. There's no real perfect concoction for there's no perfect formula for it. And of course, if you feel you're more, your skill level has gone up, it is perfectly okay to raise your prices however often you feel, whether it's yearly, whether it's quarterly, whether it's every half a year. And you can either raise it a little bit or you can raise it a lot. And of course, if you feel that you ever need to stop, because another thing you have to think about is the demand of which you are getting commissions and things like that. If you ever feel like maybe you've raised it too high, you can always just kind of keep there until it levels out again. It's totally up to you. When it comes to, formulating how much you should charge per commission, I wouldn't really base it off of, I would just get other people's advice on how they charge, if there's a formula in their head, or if they just spat out a random number. I will say in the beginning, I definitely did just kind of think, oh yeah, $20 for this piece is really reasonable. Ooh, example. So initially, I think for my chibi skebs, I was initially charging $15 for one of these. And maybe I used to maybe it didn't take me that long. But then there were pieces like this one that took me 8 hours. And I was like, whoa, okay. Whereas then later, I think these ones typically took me about 3 to 4 hours, give or take. So, and then this one took me closer to 6. So that one was really hard for me because that really does depend on the character design. But I don't, and you are more than, you are definitely allowed to charge more if someone has a more complex design. I just didn't really think about it at the time, so it is what it is. But at the time when I was only charging 20, and then I found out how I could track my time on everything, and I saw, oh no, that actually took me 8 hours. I was like, oh boy, that was definitely undercharged. So yeah, that's why I personally recommend tracking your time and considering your time versus what you're getting paid. But also, if you're not really coming up with a good average, it might be a good indication that you might need to work on being more efficient and, well, not efficient, but being more consistent with how fast it takes you to create some artwork. And of course, again, some designs are going to be different, and if one design is overly complex, then you should feel more than free to charge more for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here for another episode of Gibberish and Brain Mush. I know that a lot of these are very art related, but what can I say? I do art all the time. I bleed it. I'm brainwashed. If you are someone that was looking into starting up commissions and you didn't know where to start, I hope that this could give you some insight for more than just the art form of it. and actually how to deal with commissions and things you should consider. I hope that I wasn't being a little too maybe negative on the subject, because I do think, everybody should give it a good try, right? Just think about those things before you get started, because it's going to be really hard to correct certain behaviors or habits, especially if you aren't used to, certain things, especially commissioning or anything of that nature. So I hope this gave you some insight, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.